If you're a digital agency owner wondering how you're going to grow and survive as a business in the next few years, I believe this video is a critical watch and something that every agency owner needs to be thinking about really deeply at this point. And this is because the commoditization of services that agencies deliver, as well as the acquisition channels and how we find clients, is changing rapidly with the well documented changes in AI. And I think this is going to give you the best chance of success to build long term, have longevity in your business, and also develop a business that is a lot more profitable with leaner teams and is not something that becomes a burden to your life and always weighing you down. So the agency model is just going to change drastically whether you like it or not. And I think this is something that everybody needs to be thinking about really, really deeply now. And I'll explain how I'm approaching things, some of the things that I'm doing in my company, and what I recommend everybody else should be focused on as well. So let me just move my face over to here for a second. And essentially, how I'm breaking this down, right? You have two elements. You have the actual service that you're delivering to your clients, as well as the marketing or sales, the acquisition channels, and how you actually win new business. And I've broken this down into two categories. Either it's going to become commoditized, or it already is, or it's differentiated. And in order to win and have the best outcome, you need to be as differentiated as possible, because everything that is commoditized currently and will become commoditized will ultimately just become a competition of price. And that's just a pretty shit business for most people to be in, especially when you're delivering any type of service. So this is going to give you the best chance of profitability in the long term. And how I'm thinking about things is, here you have the service that's delivered to the client. So let's start with agency services, whether you're doing paid ads, email, even a lot of creative design work, heavily commoditized. It's inevitable that it's going to become more commoditized. You're going to be able to drive massive amounts of volume with very little input. So the actual differentiation on the services themselves, it's fizzling away or becoming less important. It really is becoming a competition of price across so many services. But a lot of people who own agencies are completely neglecting these three. And this is something that I think every brand owner, agency owner, needs to be thinking about really deeply at this point to safeguard themselves in the future. Because when all the agency services are commoditized, what are the differentiating factors? And I'll come back to this in a second. But in terms of the actual business model, coaching led by your specialized knowledge, I'm not talking on a one-to-one basis here. I'm talking on a one-to-many basis. This is still going to be differentiated because it's based on you. Courses. I'm a massive proponent that every agency owner should have a digital asset in the form of a course. I've wrote about this a lot. I believe there's many reasons to have a course, but ultimately a course is the highest profitable asset that you will ever create. And if you build up an audience, it's also one of the best forms of leverage that you have over your business. And community as well. Again, I think this is something that every agency owner needs to be thinking about deeply, because if you're building specialized knowledge, then you're going to build an audience and you have the opportunity to build a community around this. And again, this is differentiated. It's not going to become commoditized. So these are all things that I see as clearly differentiated services that are not under threat from AI or machine learning. But the actual service at scale will become heavily commoditized and already is in a lot of industries. Now, let's talk about how you're going to attract clients. So outbound, I break marketing and sales generally into three areas across agencies. You have outbound, which is cold email, direct response methods. You have content or inbound. I think it's heavily based on personal brand these days. I think most people would agree, especially if you're using LinkedIn and Twitter to acquire clients. And then you have partnerships and events. So I see a similar trajectory and trend on the marketing side. The outbound segment of acquiring customers is massively commoditized. It doesn't matter if you're using Lemlist or Clay and all these other type of tools that are really becoming popularized at the moment. Great software, nothing against them. Again, it's just a tool. But the actual strategy is becoming massively commoditized. You speak to any B2B lead gen agency owner, and it's just a channel that's diminishing in terms of results. So the strategy is becoming less important on the outbound motion, in my opinion. And even if you're doing a lot of personalized Loom videos, there's just so much noise that it's really difficult to cut through. So I think it's already massively commoditized. It's going to become more commoditized. And if you want to have any type of success with this type of outbound, if you're working in a competitive industry, then you're going to need to back this up with some type of differentiator that gives you a better chance of cutting through the noise. And for me, it's content, it's personal brand, it's content, your specific knowledge distributed at scale across channels like LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Because that's going to bring some awareness and mental availability to your outbound motion. So even though it's a slow burner, I think it's something that everyone needs to be thinking about now is how do I differentiate my marketing and sales? It's by investing in content and personal brand, whatever you want to call it, at scale, building up that audience proactively, because it's also feeding the flywheel on these as well. It's not just attracting new clients, it's also opening the door for that one-to-many coaching, digital assets in the form of courses, and the community element as well. So heavily investing in a personal brand is differentiated and something that I think is just growing in importance every single day. And then the quality of partnerships and events. This is just something that's very, very difficult for most people to execute on, especially events. And that is also a moat around your business. So I think it's something that is definitely worth pursuing. We're seeing some agencies do it really successfully, and I think that's a really smart long-term play. But ultimately, just to summarize, if you are delivering an agency service that is dependent on outbound, you are in trouble and you need to pivot your strategy if you want to succeed in the long term. And the way to think about this is how to differentiate selling your specialized knowledge at scale. In my opinion, it's with these three elements. And what supports these three elements? It's by, first of all, creating super great content around your personal brand. And then it's using partnerships and events as an amplifier as well, essentially a network. Yes, outbound, it's not going to go away. I'm not suggesting that, but it's becoming very, very difficult to succeed on outbound without leveraging these components as well. So that's just something that I'm really thinking deeply about now. I believe every agency owner especially needs to be heavily focusing on building the personal brand. Obviously, I'm biased. I've built a second business around this. But if you want to get started on building your personal brand, then drop me a message. I think it's absolutely pivotal at this point if you're going to succeed in the long term. And I do have a cohort starting on August the 1st, of the next founders that I'm taking into this, where we train you over a 90-day period, show you the systems, the strategy that we use with our clients. And within 90 days, you will be able to have a fully fledged content marketing strategy set up across LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So if that interests you, drop me a message. But if you own an agency, it's just a matter of time before you need to invest in these channels, and the best time to start is right now.